always pay your bills on time or else this could happen to you. One Friday, a man came home from work and tried to turn on his lights only to see that the power was out. He called his roommate who said he had just paid the bill now and it should be on in a couple hours. The man was pretty upset, but he decided, I'm just gonna go to my friend's house. But by the time he got back, his phone battery was dead. The power was still off in his apartment, so he just said, I'm gonna brush my teeth and then head to sleep. So the man picks up his toothbrush and that's when he heard the door creak behind him. His apartment was still pitch black, so he started feeling around for a flashlight, and that's when he grabbed something that felt like a human head of hair. So the man pushed whatever was there aside, ran into his washroom and locked the door. He managed to light a candle in his washroom, and that's when he saw something in his shower. This huge, horrifying creature rips open his shower curtain and says, "What you gonna do?" The man then sprinted out of his apartment only to see 7 other people creepily smiling at him, and decided he'll just sleep in his car tonight.
Here's some crazy history you definitely did not learn in school. The reason hurricanes have human names started off as a joke. A meteorologist named them after politicians he didn't like, so he could say they were causing great distress and wandering aimlessly. William Clark had a spelling problem. In the Lewis and Clark journals, he spelled Sue 27 different ways. The Great Fire of London officially recorded just 6 deaths despite destroying most of the city. Historians believe the real toll was much higher than that. Iceland's tallest tree is only 99 feet tall because forests struggle to grow in Iceland's volcanic soil. A mysterious carpenter built the Loretto Chapel spiral staircase alone with simple hand tools, then disappeared without collecting any money for it. Galileo spotted Neptune 234 years before it was actually discovered, but he mistaked it for a star. A blind amateur historian wrote a history of the Ming Dynasty in 1660 that was so revealing that it led to over 70 executions and thousands of arrests. A British pilot in World War II flew a burning aircraft 500 miles back to base using flasks of tea to keep the flames down. A 1960s chatbot tricked users into thinking it was a real therapist, and in 2023 it outperformed GPT 3.5 in a Turing test. Britain banned Christmas in 1647. This sparked rebellious celebrations, riots, and even 40 deaths. A nobleman in 17th century Naples fought 20 duels over Dante's superiority as a poet, then admitted he never read any of his work.
The scariest haunted house in the world is called McCamey Manor, and now it has multiple locations, but it began in San Diego, California, in Russ McCamey's own home. If you can get all the way through the house, you'll get $20,000, but nobody has ever finished it. But before you can even think of going, you have to be 21 years old, complete a sports physical, pass a drug test, provide proof of medical insurance, be screened via phone, and sign a 40-page waiver. You also have to watch a 2-hour video called "And Then There Were None," which features footage of visitors quitting before the end of the experience. The only way visitors can leave is by uttering the phrase, "You really don't want to do this." And all that sounds like it would scare people away, but there's currently a waiting list of over 24,000 people.
Facts about being drunk. 0.7% of the world is drunk at any given time. That's about 55 million people. Up to 30% of people are hangover resistant. Belarus consumes the most alcohol worldwide. Estimates say hangovers cost 148 billion annually.
I'm in this gas station, and I go to use the bathroom, and there's a lock on the outside, right? So when you close the door, it locks you in. From the outside. You have no way of getting out. And it's not on the men's. Tell me that's not fucking weird. That's weird. That's weird. On the men's. Only on the women's. Not on the men.
You guys just saw for yourself how sketchy this is. Imagine being a woman and you stop at the gas station in the middle of the night to use a restroom, and then there's someone waiting in the stall, and then the door gets locked from the outside. Whatever happens to you after that, no one would know, and you're locked in. There's no way out. People have been linking this to sex trafficking, and the police have been called to further investigate, because even if there's a reasonable explanation as to why the woman's bathroom has a lock on the outside, why is it only the woman's restroom and not the men's? Just so you know, this happened at this gas station in Bryan, Texas, and because this video went viral, they have since removed the lock. There is so much evil in this world, and one thing that I learned is that you could never be too safe, So women especially, you have to be very aware of your surroundings wherever you go. And it's so sad that we still have to say this, but it's just a reality that we live in.
This is the living room of a woman who literally melted into her couch after her parents left her in that same exact spot for 10 years straight without the proper care, love, food, or any medical attention. This is Lacey Fletcher. She grew up living a pretty normal life, but she did have severe autism, so her parents say that it was challenging for her to socialize with other kids. But around the time that she was supposed to graduate high school, people just stopped seeing her. The people around her and her neighbors didn't worry because she was never reported missing, and they would still see her parents regularly who seemed unbothered, and they probably just assumed that she went off to college. But later on, Lacey was literally discovered melted into the family couch. And Lacey's parents even blamed her, saying that she stopped caring for herself and stopped doing the things that she needed to do, even though they were her primary caregivers and didn't even have a nurse at home for her. Fire and paramedics that arrived said that it was one of the worst cases they have ever seen, and said that she was literally glued to the fabric of the furniture. And her parents, who were mostly unbothered and making excuses for their actions, were both only sentenced to 20 years in prison. Rest in peace to Lacey Fletcher, and as always, I'll keep you guys updated.
This is why you should never record yourself sleeping. In 2010, there was a man named Nigel who was a single father with a young son. However, his child would scream every single night at exactly the same time. It was not your typical scream from a baby. It was like it was seeing something terrifying. So one night, Nigel set up a camera in his room and the baby's room to see if anything unusual happened. He thought maybe he was sleepwalking in the night, which was what was waking the baby up. So Nigel went to sleep that night like he did every other night, and woke up of course at around the same time to the baby screaming, but went straight back to bed and said he'd check the camera in the morning. In the morning he went and checked the camera, and it was not pretty. At 3 AM he saw his door swing wide open, and saw a creepy shadowy figure standing at the end of his hallway. He then checked the baby monitor, and of course the baby was screaming, and he then saw a dark figure standing over the cot.
Here are some world records that you could beat today. Now, the most saltine crackers that were eaten in 1 minute is 12. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but I forgot to tell you, you're not allowed to have water. So that makes it a little more challenging. And the fastest time that somebody spelled the alphabet out of alphabet soup is 2 minutes and 8 seconds. I don't know why, but I feel like I could do this faster. Now, the world record for the most selfies taken in 3 minutes is 184, and no, Kim Kardashian does not hold this record. The current record holder did in 2023.
Okay, here are some conspiracy theories you don't know but you have to know about. Seriously, you might want to stick around for the next 30 seconds. So yeah, let's start with whatever the fact this is. Since 2011, there has been hundreds of reports of flying figures in the city of Chicago. These pictures have been confirmed real and no one has any idea what they are. Cookie fucking terrifying. Let's clear this up right now. This is not some giant fucking seagull or some shit, okay? This is Lucifer 2021, we're all doomed. Okay, for this next one, I'm gonna need you guys to look in a mirror and tell me which one of these resembles your eyes. Because, my friends, dependent on your answer will tell me if you are cursed or not. Yep, now I've got your attention. It's a Japanese theory known as sampuku eyes. Basically, the abnormal amount of whites in either the top or bottom of your eyes. The middle one is a normal eye, but it is said that anyone with sampuku eyes is in for a tragic destiny. Well, shit. If you have whites at the bottom of your eyes, that basically means something on the outside world is out to get you. And this means basically something on the inside world is out to get you. Let me know which one of these you have, or tag someone with one of these eyes. Eli!
Genius People Who Beat the System, Part 3. A girls' college had a rule that said you can't have carved pumpkins in your dorm room. But the rule didn't say anything about pineapples, so she went ahead and carved one of those. This guy's new job required a photo of him in a suit for their website. But since he doesn't own a suit, he just photoshopped his face over this guy's face, and honestly, it looks pretty real. This sign says no bicycle riding, rollerblading, roller skating, skateboarding, or scooter riding, but it doesn't say no unicycling. These signs say that if you park on this side, you have to pay for parking, and if you park on the other side, you will get towed. So this guy parked in between both of the signs, so he doesn't have to do either. That's pure genius. A guy posted this photo online and said whenever he parks illegally, he puts a fake ticket on his windshield so the cops won't give him a real one. That's pretty creative.
This is why you should be scared of driving on dark roads at night. TikTok user Special122 said that him and his brother were making a trip from Utah to California. They were driving through the salt flats in the dead of the night when all of a sudden they looked out the window and saw a flying dark black humanoid creature. It was bird-like in form, but its legs were more like those of a human. It had glowing red eyes that stood out like nothing they had ever seen before. The scariest thing about it though was that it matched the speed of their car exactly and was flying only about 6 feet from the windshield, staring at them. This went on for about 1.5 miles until the creature abruptly flew away.
I have an update on the model in Dubai that was found on the side of the road with her spine and limbs broken near a construction site. Ukrainian authorities have now launched a sex trafficking probe into Dubai, trying to figure out if she was sex trafficked. That's what they believe happened to her so far. She was there for modeling. She's an OF model, so they believe that the two men kind of coerced her to come there so they could traffic her. Dubai police are saying her injuries are a result of a fall from the construction site. Maybe the men took her up there and then pushed her off. Maybe it's not true. Maybe it's a cover-up. Last time I talked about her a week or two ago, she underwent 3 operations to save her life. She just went under a 4th one, and she's now in stable condition instead of critical condition. A lot of people thought she was at a porta potty event. For those that don't know what that is, buckle up when I tell you this. A porta potty event is when IG influencers get invited to Dubai to undergo basically like humiliation. Wealthy men basically will buy out somebody to humiliate them. They'll do whatever. It's really disgusting. That made headlines about a year ago. That's not confirmed if she was at that kind of event or not, but it is speculated. No suspects have been identified right now, but I will keep you guys updated as the probe and investigation continues. What are your opinions on this story?
Facts about people with brown eyes. Brown eyes can prevent eye cancer due to melanin. Brown eyes are the most common type of eye colour. People with brown eyes have faster reaction times. All eyes are actually brown underneath. The colour we see is just due to the amount of melanin in the iris.
According to the FBI, if you answer this riddle correctly, you may be a psychopath. Good luck. A girl was at her mother's funeral who died unexpectedly, but there was a guy at the funeral who she'd never seen before, and they instantly got on. The woman went off talking to her family and friends at the funeral and forgot to get the unknown man's number. After the funeral, she tried to track down who this man was and why he was there, but no one knew him or any of his contact details. But then a few days later, her little sister was found dead. The police suspect it to be a murder, but the question is, who did it and why did they do it? Let me know in the comments below if you get the answer.
Creepy facts that will disturb you. The Mutter Museum displays various mutations, tumors, and anomalies of the human anatomy. In Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the Mutter Museum showcases preserved internal organs, models, and equipment for biomedical research and education. The creepy stuff displayed is disturbingly informative, as their poster says. Your coffee mug probably has fecal matter on it. Scientists have discovered that 90% of coffee mugs are covered in germs. The culprit? Shared kitchen sponges, especially in offices. 20% of these coffee mugs test positive for E. coli. Charles II watched William of Orange consummate his marriage. King Charles II was the uncle of William of Orange. He married his niece to the prince, and historians say that he watched over the two of them during their wedding night. Women in the 18th century used to use lead as makeup, including Queen Elizabeth I.
This has to be one of the most disturbing magazine articles that I've ever read in my life. Trigger warning, what I'm about to go over is incredibly graphic and disturbing. Brooke Shields is a very famous American actress, and she really rose to fame in the late 1960s and 70s. And that was because Hollywood producers gave her a number of high-profile roles in films where she was asked to go completely nude. And I'm talking fully nude with full glam on as a 10, 11-year-old. So this issue of High Times magazine was published in February of 1978. Brooke at the time would have been about 13 years old. And here's the article in question itself. I'm just going to read you some of these quotes. The most perfect nymphette in creation has been found in America. Her name is Brooke Shields. She's a sultry mix of all-American virgin and innocent whore. She's the hottest new young thing in movies, destined to be the sex symbol of 1964. Here they talk about a role she played in a film and say she's a female child raised on a diet of cock money. And down there, Brooke is devastating as a little lady who fucks and sucks for bucks. Also, they print that quote really big here, and she's in a picture with a known pedophile, Woody Allen. They also said Brooke's looks have been her business all her young life, extraordinarily beautiful even as an infant. She's been playing the prepubescent vamp since she was 8. At that tender age, she dropped her Carters for a photographer and posed nude. Producers literally held their breaths, waiting for the remarkable Brooke Shields to reach a reasonable age of fuckability. Not yet legal, but oh so sweet. Welcome to the end of innocence, Brookie. So, if this isn't the most disturbing thing that you've ever read, something is definitely wrong with you. They're talking about a very young Brooke Shields here. Like I said, she was only 13 years old at the time. And in these films and in these photos that they're talking about in this article, she was only 11, 10 years old. I cannot believe that this was published in a nationally known magazine like the High Times, and that nobody got in trouble for this. In my opinion, we should retroactively go back in time and arrest these people for publishing things like this about her. It's absolutely mind-blowing to me. I mean, I can't even believe that this is real. Now, obviously, I know that there are going to be some people who comment on this video and say, oh, times used to be different. You know, child pornography technically wasn't a problem and wasn't made illegal, blah, blah, blah. And to people who say that, honestly, fuck off. Because there is no excuse for an article like this to ever have been not only written, but then published. I can't imagine what this had to have been like being Brooke Shields if she ever read this at that age. Thankfully, though, Brooke did get out of the system and managed to live a happy life. But she has done a number of interviews and talked about this before, saying how much stuff like this really messed her up. And not only does Hollywood owe Brooke Shields an apology, I personally feel that some of these people should be investigated to this day. Clearly, at minimum, the guy who wrote that article about Brooke.
This janitor urinated in the water bottles of women, giving them a disease. Lucio Diaz worked as a janitor, and he would clean different buildings in Houston, Texas. In August of 2022, a woman who was working at a doctor's office in one of those buildings reported a foul smell in the employee water dispenser, and because of that, she started bringing her own bottled water. That next month in September, that woman noticed the same foul smell, but now in her own water bottle, and she said it smelled a lot like urine. She then decides to install a spy camera, and this captures Lucio, the janitor, urinating inside the employee water dispenser and her water bottle. That camera catches Lucio uncapping the water bottle on the woman's desk, unzips his pants, and then puts his private part inside of the water bottle. Once he was finished urinating inside of the water bottle, he recapped the bottle and then put it back onto her desk. This footage showed him repeating the vile act twice over a few days. 3 women who had drank water from the dispenser learned through testing that they had gotten incurable STD from the water. Once Lucio was questioned by police, he did tell them that he did urinate in the water and that he had a sickness. Once he was arrested, about 9 more women came forward that they drank that same water and tested positive for that same STD. In March of this year, Lucio pled guilty and was given a 6-year prison sentence.
Okay, major breaking news. Donald Trump has just single-handedly crashed the global stock market. So the US market literally just opened after the weekend of it being closed, and in the first few moments, all of the major indexes fell yet again, between 3 and 4%. That brings the S&P's 3-day losses to around 13%. That's the biggest drop since the financial crisis of 2008. China's stock market, well, they suffered their worst single-day crash since 2008 as well. Hong Kong's stock market, they suffered their steepest single-day decline in nearly 3 decades. Taiwan had their biggest one-day drop in their history, flat out. Japan, they had to literally halt trading. Italy is down, Saudi is down, Germany is down, France, the UK, India, Australia, name a country, they are probably down. I mean, Russia, freaking Russia, they didn't even get hit with tariffs, yet they're down as well. And that's just Monday. So Donald Trump, seeing all the panic, all of the, it's a bloodbath out here, he said, do not panic. He said the United States has a chance to do something that should have been done decades ago. Be strong, courageous, and patience, and greatness will be the result. As things develop, and they will bloody develop, I'll keep you guys updated.
Let's talk about dinosaur animatronics and water again, because I feel like traumatizing myself. Okay, let's go. So I saw this on Reddit, and it is a giant Spinosaurus animatronic that used to move, but it was part of this dinosaur experience where there was a whole bunch of other dinosaurs in Leeds in England, and this one, they just left it behind. They just left it in the water, and it's slowly sinking, by the way. Look at its foot in the water. Slowly sinking into that water, just completely abandoned there, just for anyone to go see. I don't know how long ago this was, but if I was walking past and I saw this and I saw that it was slowly sinking, end of living operations. Jurassic Park 3 is my favorite Jurassic Park movie, okay? Don't at me, but the Spinosaurus, look how big this animatronic is on this, and look how big it is in comparison to the humans. Look how big it is in comparison to bro. Is that Steven Spielberg? Looks like it. Do you remember when you were a kid and you would jump out of the water pretending to be Ariel from The Little Mermaid? That's what this one looks like right now. It's not a Spinosaurus, but this is funny. And the tail of the Stegosaurus on the Jurassic Park ride. Dinosaurs shouldn't be in water, bro, especially the animatronics. Just nightmare fuel, but also really cool. How do y'all feel about dinosaurs and dinosaur animatronics and submechanophobia?
Morbid Facts, Part 577. On a cold winter night in 1977, 48-year-old Teresita Basso was found brutally murdered in her Chicago apartment. Her body had been left naked under a burning mattress with a knife still embedded in her chest. The case quickly went cold with no suspects and no apparent motive, until months later when police received a chilling phone call. A local man claimed that his wife, who had worked with Teresita, began channeling messages from Teresita's ghost during trance-like states. During these eerie episodes, the woman would apparently speak in Teresita's voice, identifying her killer as a man named Alan Showery. Even more disturbingly, the alleged spirit named stolen items that were taken from her apartment, including specific pieces of jewelry that Showery had stolen from her. As absurd as it sounded, police followed these clues, and shockingly, they all checked out. Showery was arrested and eventually confessed, making this one of the most bizarre criminal cases in modern history.
This is insane. Scientists have just shocked the world after releasing a video where you can hear the first direwolf howl in 10,000 years. The Times just wrote an article about it and described it as the return of the direwolf. Now, if you didn't already know, direwolves once roamed the Americas from Canada all the way down to Venezuela, but about 10,000 years ago, they vanished, going extinct along with other giant Ice Age animals like the mammoth. But their bones stayed behind. And fast forward to 2025, scientists at Colossal Biosciences recently discovered ancient DNA inside fossils that dated all the way back from 11,000 to 72,000 years old. Then, using that DNA that they discovered, they managed to decode the direwolf's entire genetic blueprint. And here is where things get wild. They took ordinary DNA from a gray wolf and then edited it gene by gene to perfectly match the ancient direwolf's genetic code. Then, using domestic dogs as surrogate mothers, Romulus and Remus were born in October. Colossal claim that they are the first de-extinct animals ever. And at just 6 months old, they are already 4 feet long, weigh 80 pounds. And what's crazier is that instead of being really friendly and cuddly, the Times report that they're kind of cold, cautious, and avoid humans entirely. They even avoid the people who raised them and bottle fed them from birth. Colossal posted about this achievement on X, saying, "This moment marks not just a milestone for us as a company, but also a leap forward for science, conservation, and humanity." They said they're aiming to revolutionize endangered species by mastering genetic technology. And if successful, not only could we hold on to our current species from going extinct, but maybe even bring back the ones lost to the past. However, not everyone is celebrating. Some say calling this de-extinction is disingenuous, arguing that they are only grey wolves with 20 edited genes to mimic direwolf traits. And others warn that this kind of genetic meddling could lead to catastrophic consequences. But what do you think? Is this an amazing scientific breakthrough that should continue to be pursued? Or are we messing with things far beyond our control, risking consequences that we can't possibly predict?
If I told you your mother was in the courtroom here today, would that be the truth?
No, so.
Where is your mother?
Jail.
This 7-year-old who went viral in 2008 for testifying against his own mother has finally broken his silence after 17 years.
Would you tell us your name?
Andrew Hutto.
Andrew Hutto, who is now 24 years old, has shared his verdict on his mother's case, 17 years after she was found guilty of murdering his 7-year-old sister, Adriana Hutto, in their pool.
Who is this, or what is this?
My mama.
And what is she doing?
Killing my sister.
100% guilty, he recalled. I stand by every word I said. I don't believe I was what they've called coached or anything like that. I just told them exactly what I saw, word for word.
Putting her hand over her face.
Who is this?
My mother.
And who is this?
My sister. Died.
What?
She died.
Despite his painful past, Andrew, known as AJ, now a firefighter, has no contact with his 45-year-old mother and wants to keep it that way.
Was your mommy crying?
Yes, sir.
Looking back, AJ reflects, it was heartbreaking. She's my mother, but there was also relief that it was finally coming to an end. AJ was adopted by a Christian couple and spoke fondly of them. It was good. It was a lot better. Good Christian family. There was love, a happier household.
When is the last time that you saw your mother? Do you remember?
No, sir.
My childhood with Amanda it was almost a 360 difference. Completely different. Just darkness, trauma, a lot of abuse. Both Adriana and I were hit. The difference between the two families was night and day.